And we are live. It's on you, Brenda. And we are live.
Well, good morning, everybody, and hello from Indiana, where the skies are a little bit puckery. It looks like it might pucker up and squirt out there today. Temperature high of 78 degrees, they say today, which will be pretty nice. And
sorry.
Oh, let's see. Well, we got Pat. We're going to put you back under the desk again today. You did so good underneath the desk yesterday. Now here we let you up today, and you're acting up already. We haven't even been on the air 10 seconds, and we got you acting up.
I want to make sure everybody's awake.
I guess so. But yeah, we just been fiddling around here at the house this morning. I haven't had a whole lot of energy to do anything because it's been so hot the last few days that it's just kind of taken the wind out of my sails. But other than that, not a whole lot going on here in Whoville. What's going on over here in your neck of the woods, Pat?
It's supposed to be really hot today. Out here in South Dakota, it's a dry heat. There's not too much of humidity out here. But we're under red flag warnings out here because of the dryness. So got to pay attention a little bit to that. Other than that, everything else is good. Just reading up on some news and, finding some stuff really disturbing. And that's why I titled the show Wake Up America, with this filibuster that went down. And I feel that we're being thrown under the bus once again. And it's scary. They're saying they want more gun control. And if you're on some type of no-fly list, you won't be able to purchase a gun or own a gun. Well, hell, majority of Americans are under that watch now because we own guns. So I just find it disturbing, and I can't find any, the actual amendment or the bill that they're trying to pass. I can't find it anywhere. So, and then
I'll tell you what, Pat, we got a couple of them out there in the chat rooms pretty good about looking stuff up. Let's see if they can find it. Jay or we, if Jeremy, I haven't seen him in there, but if maybe he's out there lurking or something. Why don't you guys see if you can find us that bill that these idiots are trying to get through. I'm just going to click on this and see if it'll even give me a number on it. If we could at least find a number, maybe somebody could come up with it.
Right.
They're keeping it pretty close to their vest on exactly, what they're doing. They're not putting a whole lot out there in the news so we can do much research on it. But, yeah, if you can find what they were filibustering on last night, to find us a number, because I'm kind of scrolling down through this, and I'm not seeing a number on it anywhere to be able to look it up.
Right.
There ought to be something, but so far nothing. So maybe some of our researchers there in the chat room can nose around, see if they can find anything on it. That would be extremely beneficial. If you post it in the chat room, Jay, or if you want to just send it to me on Hangouts or something, then it'll pop up there on my screen, and we can take a look, see, and find out exactly what they're doing. But my big question would be, Pat, why on this no-fly list there wasn't nobody to have a gun? So why don't they just shut down the airline industry? Nobody can fly.
Yeah. I just wish I can get more of a clarity on what it is they're trying to do, because I listened to some of it yesterday after the show, and
Well, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to shut down the Second Amendment. Hillary's already said that she is going to nullify the Second Amendment if she gets elected. So that's what they want to do. They want to nullify it. They don't want there to be any guns. If they can figure out how to take the guns away from us that we've already got, they'll be doing that too. They have to kick the door in or whatever they got to do in order to get the guns. They're not going to get them all, because we know that no matter what they do, the criminals are always going to have guns. So, you know, they're only trying to take the guns away from citizens that are law-abiding. They're not doing anything to take the guns away from the criminals.
Nope. Nope. You know, and I think it's kind of funny, you know, you want to make stricter gun laws, but go into one of the major cities on a corner or something, and you know you're going to find a gun. You could pick one up for 50 to $100. I mean, there's no secret. Go to LA, go to Chicago, go to New Jersey, in Newark. I can take you into the city, Jersey City and Hoboken, and tell you right where to go to find a gun. That's not going to solve the problem.
They want the guns taken away from the law-abiding citizens so that they can do as they please. It is to disarm the Second Amendment people, the people that will try to put an end to whatever is going on in Washington. They want to be able to do as they please in Washington without any fear of the populace. They don't want any fear from the tax-paying citizens that would stand up against their tyranny.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's to stop the Second Amendment. This, you know, the whole thing went back to when the Constitution was drawn up in the first place, because they said that the people should not fear the government. The government should fear the people, and that's why they were giving the people the right to form a militia to keep the government under control.
Mm-hmm.
So if they take away the guns from the people, it's stopping the militia from stopping the people in Washington from doing as they please.
Exactly. Before we get any further, I want to say to everybody out there, there's some major wildfires going on around in California, New Mexico, Nevada. I can't remember where else. Be very careful out there if you live in those areas. I'm looking right now to see the last report. I know there have been some massive evacuations. I believe they were in New Mexico, the evacuations, if I'm not mistaken. But as soon as I find more information, I'll be throwing it out there to you guys. Brenda, do you have anything further on it?
Well, there was 1,200 acres is what I seen is on fire out there, and they'd evacuated a bunch of people. But that was about all that I saw on it. But, you know, it was a little earlier this morning. I don't know if there's been anything, you know, late breaking on that situation.
BB just sent me Colorado too is having fires going. Yeah, so anybody out in them areas, be very careful today. We're in the dry season. I know at least where I live, we're in the dry season, so we got to pay attention out here. And we get the dry lightning out here too, so it can spark anything. So just be very careful today, guys, and keep your thoughts and prayers for the ones that are in the middle of this right now, dealing with having to evacuate their homes. That's all I have for right now, but I will keep you updated on it and pass it along to you guys. Okay, sorry to interrupt you, Brenda.
Oh, that's okay. I was just kind of poking through some stuff here, looking for that bill, but so far I've not been able to find it.
Correct.
I'd posted in the chat room earlier this Homeland Security thing, National Terrorism Advisory System Bulletin. I don't know if anybody took a look at that or not, but the summary on it is in December, we described a new phase in the global threat environment, which has implications on the homeland. The basic assessment has not changed. In this environment, we are particularly concerned about homegrown violent extremists who could strike with little or no notice. The tragic events of Orlando several days ago reinforced this. Accordingly, increased public vigilance and awareness continue to be of utmost importance. This bulletin has a 5-month duration and will expire just before the holiday season. We will reassess the threats of terrorism at that time. I mean, you know, this is Homeland Security posting this thing. I mean, why aren't they telling, well, you know, this nut job that hated all kinds of people, not just gays. I mean, you know, he was after blacks. He was after a whole slew of different people that he just hated with passion. And the FBI had already investigated him 2 or 3 times, and they turned their back when he went to buy that gun and let him get that gun. They was alerted. I mean, any of us that are on the terrorist watch list, and he had to have been if the FBI had already checked him out twice, they turned their back and they let him buy that gun. So, you know, they allowed this to happen to further the agenda for gun control. I mean, let's just lay it right out there. If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and smells like a duck, it's a duck.
Exactly.
I get tired of them blowing smoke up my rear end to try to tell me I'm a chimney, you know? I mean, let's just call it like it is.
Well, you know, if anybody sees that, what Brenda posted with the Homeland Security Bulletin, I highly suggest you read it. And we got to start be real vigilant. And it's more and more dire that we do pay attention to our surroundings nowadays. You know, I just can't explain it, and I've been saying it and saying it and saying it. There's something coming. I don't know what it is. It's just a bad gut feeling that you know something is coming, but you can't pinpoint it, you know? An hour.
Well, I found something last night, Pat, that I thought was extremely interesting. I sent a link to you about it. Anybody that is on YouTube, which obviously, if they're listening to us, they are, needs to go to X22 Report on YouTube and listen to, he numbers all of his videos. This is 997B, and it's at the 23-minute mark of a 26-minute video. If you don't listen to the whole thing, just listen to those last 3 minutes. There was an unnamed person, he can't reveal the name of the person, that works for FEMA, that says to expect water, electric, and gas to be shut off in the near future. They are preparing to have their plans in place by June the 30th. So anything could happen after June the 30th. That's their deadline to facilitate future collapse of the system. So, you know, that's pretty big news as far as I'm concerned. Even if he can't reveal his source, he obviously trusted this person enough to put this out there. And I don't think it's any real surprise to any of us that are aware of what has been happening, that there is going to be a collapse. We've just not really known when, and we still don't really know when, but we know that FEMA is going to be prepared for anything to happen after the 30th of June, which is 2 weeks from today.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty important that everybody start, you know, if you haven't started, you need to start preparing, and if you have started to prepare, you need to be really wrapping it up in the next 2 weeks. Get to thinking exactly what you're going to need. I'm going to put the link in the description of the video before, you know, or when it's going to go up on YouTube after we're done here, so that anybody can just pull it up. But yeah, it's the X22 Report, episode 997B. is the one it is if you want to write it down. But yeah, that was pretty big news. And I will reiterate what I said yesterday about you need to sit down and just think about things that you do every day, things that you do once a week, things that you do once a month, things you do once a year, and what you're going to need to do those things to carry you through so you'll be as prepared as you can possibly be. You'll never be 100% prepared, but be as prepared as you can possibly be to do without your water, do without your electricity, and still survive what's coming. I mean, just think about it. You know, if you don't have any electricity and you're dependent on your washing machine, even if you go to the laundromat, those are dependent on electricity. So how are you going to do your laundry?
Right.
How are you going to feed yourself? You know, do you have any way that you cook food? Do you have a place where you can make a fire? I mean, I know there's a lot of people that live in apartments. They won't even let them have as much as a grill. So, you know, you need to be thinking about how you're going to do things. If you get you a little propane stove with those propane canisters or something, you can use them in the house. But you're going to need some way that you can cook food, and you better be prepared to do it for a while, because I don't think it's going to be an overnight situation that we're facing. Have a way to collect water, have a way to purify your water, have some water laid in. They say that you need at least a gallon a day in order to be able to survive. So, you know, that's something to think about. You need to be thinking about these things. How are you going to clothe yourself? It ain't going to be nothing at the store to buy.
Yeah, you know, and then just a CNN report, CIA director warns ISIS terror capability not slowing despite. I'm gonna widen this stupid thing. Damn it, where'd it go now? I just lost it. Man, I got to go back underneath the damn desk.
Yeah, good golly, Pat. We're going to take your chair.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Chilling warning: ISIS to intensify global attacks. That's the warning from the CIA director. So
they're going to keep waving that ISIS stuff at us. You know, that there's going to be terror attacks, You know, it's like, well, what was that story we heard as a kid about Chicken Little? You know, the sky is falling. Run for your lives. And I don't know how much of that is true and how much of that is scare tactics from the government to set up false flags.
True.
I'd be willing to almost bet you that if they get gun control through where they're taking everybody's guns away from them and stopping from buying guns, that the terrorist attacks stop.
I don't know. Oh, man.
They're using that stuff to push their agenda through.
Right. No, I agree with that. I totally agree with what they're trying to do. But, you know, too many Americans and innocent people are being hurt and maimed and killed because of all this nonsense.
Well, look what happened 9/11. I mean, you know, we know that was a false flag. Look at all the people that lost their lives in that, just so that they could get their Patriot Act and stuff through and start bullying us. They made us beg for them to, oh, make it stop, make us safe again.
Well,
I mean, that 28-page report needs to be turned loose. We need to know exactly what was done. We need to know exactly what was pulled on us, and the people responsible need to be brought up on charges and hung.
mm-hmm.
There's no excuse for any of that. manipulation and control.
Well, we have to wake up, and we got to wake up because, like I keep saying, I don't know what it is, and I don't know if I'm the only one feeling this bad. I got this bad gut feeling. With the EBT cards, with what's coming in the middle of next month, with with these conventions and the threat of violence, it's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous on what is happening right now. Are there extreme terrorists here that want to do harm to us and kill us? Yeah. Do I believe, our governments probably have their hands all into it and paying these folks? I'm kind of leaning towards that. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm kind of leaning towards that way. It's just sad. You see what's happening over in Venezuela, fighting over the food out there. They're down to now eating dogs, cats, and rats and everything else. Is that what we got to look forward to coming here? It's just, we're in scary times, and it's not fear mongering. Just look around, read the news. It's just unbelievable. And then we have these morons running our country, these politicians, worrying about what the other morons saying. Mainstream media is not helping things at all. I mean, they're pushing.
Oh, no.
They're pushing their propaganda like no tomorrow.
They're owned by the corporations, and so they're going to push that corporate agenda. Whatever they're told to do, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to, march and goose step and follow the agenda.
We got to start looking to each other and supporting each other now, getting this information out there, spreading these news articles. I'm not saying believe what you're reading in the news articles. I mean, you can sit there and pick what is true and what is BS out of a lot of them. And I think we need to start doing that more and more. Just 54 minutes ago, a British politician, Joe Cox, in critical condition after attack. So they're attacking politicians over in Britain right now. So,
well, I think the ones that are here know that it's going to happen. People, you cut off the people's groceries. A lot of people are already really upset, but you're cutting off the people's groceries with the EBT cards. You go to cutting off their water and their electricity. You think that? I mean, I know that people have laid down far too long, but you start cutting off the necessities of life to these people, and you watch. There's going to be a march on Washington that you've never seen in your life. People are not going to put up with it.
I said this before, and I'm probably going to catch heat too. 1952, Harry Truman signed a law not banning Muslims to come into this country. And the reason he signed it was because of their beliefs in Sharia law, and that they were a serious threat to our country. That law, from what I've been looking and researching, is still on the books. Nobody, that law, you can look it up, 1952, Harry Truman signed it into law, and the law is still on the books today. I found it really interesting that that law is there and nobody's saying nothing about it. So they knew back then that we were going to have this issue. Now,
Yeah.
the governments have a hand in this. Oh, you bet they do. You know, I hear some people. At first, I was on the fence. You know, we, as the United States, created ISIS. Possible. Is it totally possible? I don't know. Just my opinion. But going into other countries and trying to force our will and our beliefs onto another country, no, I don't think so. I don't think we did that during World War I or II. I don't think we went in and forced our will. I think we went in to liberate the people that were being executed. I don't know. You know, my brain is all over the place reading a lot of this stuff, and it's like we're taking it up the butt without the Vaseline. And we need to start getting spreading this, man. We need to start spreading what's coming. You know, at first I used to laugh at people when they would say, get a bug out bag prepared. I would laugh. Bug out bag? Get the hell out of here. Ain't nothing going to happen. You don't need to buy all that stuff and do that crap. But now, making me think that something's coming. And it's all over YouTube. I mean, all the hosts are doing a wonderful job out there. The guys that do the videos are doing wonderful, good information on what, you know, they believe's to come. Whether you believe them or not, I mean, the messages are basically all the same, you know. One's belief is maybe a little bit more deeper down the rabbit hole than another person, but the messages is all the same. Brenda?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think ISIS. Well, you know, I'm right with you. ISIS has been orchestrated. They took a bunch from the Taliban, and they made their own little group out of it, and they're using that. They're weaponizing the bunch. They're shipping them over here. They're shipping them to other countries. They're creating chaos to further whatever it is that their agenda is, and I think it's the one world order. And it needs to be put a stop to. Enough of anything's enough. I mean, when we were kids and we got out of control, generally speaking, I mean, there was always exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, there was a parent or somebody that jumped in and said, we're not putting up with this. Now you're going to straighten up and fly right. And when yank you loose from your appetite, it's like, enough of anything is enough. And that's what we need to do as the custodians over our government. Enough is enough. You're destroying us.
Right. It's just a scary situation that's going on. And, you know, I'm not trying to, I really don't like playing into the fear mongering stuff. I really don't. But you got to pay attention to what's going on. I mean, it's bad. You know, and all you hear today on the news is Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton. Don't worry about what happened. Don't worry about what happened. It's all, let's worry about these two. Get the hell out of here with this crap already. I'm tired of it. We're losing our country. We're losing our compassion. And we want to talk about what Donald Trump said in his speech. Let's not worry about the little stuff. We don't need. It's amazing, just totally amazing. I don't know. Oh, just that British member of their parliament just coming across died following the shooting. So supposedly she was shot and stabbed. It was a female. So, you know, where do we go? I mean, yes, we're doing shows and we're putting messages out there, but there's a lot of people that don't want to believe it. They don't want to wake up. Where do we go? You know?
I don't know that we can go anywhere. I think we're just going to have to hang on for the ride at this point. But, you know, batten down the hatches and make sure you're as prepared as you could possibly be for what's coming. You know, as far as the government's concerned, you know, since the people have not staged an uprising to put some end to the foolishness,
mm-hmm.
You know, by the time they do stand up to it and say, hey, enough is enough, we're not putting up with it, you cut off our lights, you cut off our power, you cut off our gas, you cut off the water, you cut off the food, you've left us with no resort except to stand up against you. Then it'll be the militarized government coming against what they're going to consider to be the terrorists, which are nothing more than American citizens that have been totally annihilated.
Well, I found something here. I'm going to make humor of this one.
Okay.
All right. And this is in Jeremy's neck of the woods.
Uh-oh. La La Land.
La La Land. These are shaky ass people out there. Wow, are they shaky? Coming out of Sacramento, they passed a gun law. Okay. In a clip, they're banning people that have these automatic weapons with clips. The clips can not have no more than 10 bullets in a clip. They have to turn them in or destroy the clips. Okay?
Well, how many people are going to do that? Seriously.
I think I was laughing my butt off this morning when I read that. I was like, okay, let me see here. So you're telling me they have, does that pertain to the police too? Which in their Glocks, I believe there's 13 and one in the chamber. So, and their ARs, do they have to break down their clips too? Or is it just for the legal gun owners?
It's just for the legal gun owners. Because, you know, the police are going to need theirs when the uprising hits.
I just thought it was kind of funny. You know,
there's no way they're going to disarm the police.
Right. That's it, Jeremy. The magazine capacity. If you had it forever, I didn't know nothing about it until I read the article that came out of Sacramento. That was today. As a matter of fact, I seen it today. And saying that the magazines have to be destroyed or turned in. And you cannot have no magazine capable of holding 10 or more rounds in a magazine. So, you know, I just think it's funny. I mean, some of these lawmakers, wow, it's just funny to me, you know. And
and we voted them in office. You know, we've allowed them to get in there and get their toehold, and now they're making their goofy laws and screwing everything up.
I just think it's so funny, you know, but seriously and scary at the same time on what is going on. I mean, We have lost our mind in this country. We have totally lost our livid mind on the nonsense that's happening here. You know, what is it? 13th, 14th day that some of these EBT cards are still having issues with them, and that there's 40 or what was it, 28 states that are not going to renew the EBT cards.
22. 22 states are not going to renew them, and 18 more are to follow, which will make a total of 40 states. And you know, my side note on that is, okay, you got 40 out of 50 states.
Right.
How long is it going to take the other 10 to fall into that? So you might pretty much just say the EBT cards and SNAP programs are a thing of the past at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of time before people get hungry. Now, depending upon where you're at, depends on what kind of jobs that there are. I know here in this town, there's been some billboard things up that, there are some places hiring. But how long is it going to take before that ends? The fast food places are still hiring, but that'll be minimum wage job, and it'll only be part-time because they're not going to give any insurance or perks or anything along with the job.
Right.
So, and then other people that are unemployed, they can't afford to go to the fast food places to get anything to eat now. So if the fast food places aren't making any money, how long are they going to be able to employ people? Let alone when the water and the electricity goes off.
Right.
Water and the electricity goes off, all these places are going to go out of business.
That's what I'm saying. It's so, I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's scary, comical. Oh, man. Just making you think on the nonsense that's going on. And I know we got a job to do. All of us do. The people that do shows, videos in the chat room of getting this message, the garbage out there so people wake up, And I just wondered how many people are actually prepared when shit hits the fan to deal with it.
Well, I'd say that the majority of the population will not be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I think those of us that are knowledgeable and, somewhat educated on what has been transpiring will be somewhat prepared, but I don't even think we're going to be 100% prepared for this. We've never lived through this before.
I believe that whatever's coming, I believe the major metropolitan cities are the ones that are going to be hit first.
I believe so too.
I also believe, they're going to go into these cities that have been just decimated by the economic collapse, the housing collapse. Look, Detroit. I mean, I use Detroit as a prime example. I mean, you go back and look at articles on and pictures of what Detroit used to be compared to what it is now. It's sad. It is sad to see that city the way it is.
Well, they'll have people begging to go to the FEMA camps, because they'll be promising them food and water, and people with kids, and you ain't got no way to cook, and you're out of food. There ain't no stores to go buy food. People will be saying, "Oh yes, please take us to the FEMA camp so we can feed our children," and a lot of them are going to be hauled off. I think it'll be the big cities that'll be hit first with it. I think the offer will be put out to other communities, in the smaller communities of people that want to go can go. You know, they'll probably have buses pull up, and if you want to go, get on the bus and you go.
Right.
I don't know that they're going to force it, at least not right away, because they're going to have so many people that are so willing to jump up and go.
True. True. You know, I like that idea. We turn off the power for a weekend and see how you're doing. I know I would handle it fine because just because I know I don't want to go too far, but I know I can handle it. We had a blizzard out here, about a year or two ago, and it took out our power for a week and a half. We had no power, and we were running on generators, and then we started just using the generators off and on because gas was just hard to get out of the driveway off the mountain here where I live to get down to the gas station. So we'd wrap up in blankets during the daytime, and then at night we'd fire the generators up and stuff to get the pellet stove going just to keep us warm. But yeah, you're right. But how many people are willing to do that, How many people are willing to shut down their computers, shut down their cell phones, shut down their power? You know, people would lose their minds if they lose their cell phones. I really believe that. I think people would lose their mind more over losing a cell phone than going hungry. Because everywhere you look, just go into a grocery store or a mall, what are these people doing? They're on their phones texting. Really? You just came to a friggin' mall. You're going shopping. You got to be texting?
And they're texting the person that's with them.
Yeah. I mean, go figure. You know, take a phone away from a young kid today and watch. Oh, man, that kid. Oh, I can only imagine the names that the parents would be called for taking a phone away. Oh man, I can.
Well, I've just been trying to tell people, you know, that they better be looking at their food supply, you know, and you know, a lot of people say my freezer's stocked. I don't have anything to worry about. And I said, well, I hope you have a backup for your electric for that freezer, because if you don't have a generator or some solar power or something to keep that freezer running, that food in your freezer is not going to last you very long. But when it spoils, you can only eat just so much. And if your freezer's fully stocked, I got news for you. You ain't going to be able to eat your way out of that thing before the food's spoiled. So, you know, I've been trying to keep the freezer sparse and keep canned food. And, you know, and if you've got stuff in your freezer, you can can it. And if you don't know how, you better be learning how. If you want to save any of that stuff and be able to eat and survive. You know, a lot of people want to just sit back and say, well, I don't know how, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, you better be learning.
It's just crazy. And I laugh about them. Like I said, it's scary. It's comical. You know, on some of the stuff people say and people are doing. I don't know. It was this whole episode that happened in Orlando. Is this some kind of wake up call saying, hey, stupids, wake up. Shit's about to hit the fan. I don't know.
Well, I think it is for some, but for the majority, what it is the government saying, okay, we're going to do this to try to get the rest of these guns away from people, to stop people from buying guns, because it's about to hit, and we have got to do something to keep people from going out and buying more guns and ammunition.
Yep.
I think that's what it's about more than anything. But, you know, for those of us that's awake, we're seeing, you know, where the whole thing is going. We just don't know exactly when it's going to happen. And speaking of that, today is 6/16/2016. The day with the 3 6s in it.
Holy crap, you're right.
Now there'll be another one coming up in 10 days, which would be 626-2016. But this is the day you said that something was going to happen because of it having the 3 6s in it. I don't know if it's today or if it's 10 days from now.
I don't know. Wow.
The Illuminati 666.
Well, gonna have to just pay attention. Wow, that's all I could say is just wow.
Mind blowing, ain't it?
It's all mind blowing anymore on what is going on, and it's scary. We should be concerned. Every day.
I've seen some of them. Seen some of them mentioning there in the chat room, Pat, about springs and spring water and stuff. If you don't know if there is a natural spring in your area, go online, go to Google and type in your state and natural springs. There should be some websites come up to show you if there are any natural springs in your state, and you can go down through that and see if there's any in your area. And then I suggest that you go out and you find that natural spring. Because if you find that natural spring and they cut off the water, if you've got some jugs or bottles or buckets or something, you can go to that natural spring and collect you some water, because the electric is not going to stop that natural spring from putting out water. I happen to know where there's a couple natural springs. They're not real close to me, but I know where they are. So if push comes to shove, if I had gasoline enough to get there, I could go and get the water. If there's a river or a lake or a stream or something, you can always go and get some water. You have to purify it, but at least you can go get some water. But that might be something that people ain't thought of, is finding the natural springs, because there is such a thing. Water will naturally flow. Mm-hmm. And you just go and collect you some water there. I know there's a park that has a natural spring right in the middle of it. And for years, people have gone and filled up their jugs, gallon jugs or buckets or what have you, to get water out of that natural spring. There's usually even a line for people to get that natural water. Right. Because it doesn't have the fluoride and all the chemicals and crap that they dump in your water supply. So, that's something to think about. Just look it up, find out where they are, take a little drive, go and check it out. And
I find
what kind of quality of water is coming out of the ground.
I find interesting that nobody's talking about the Flint, Michigan water deal. And I know Mike mentioned it to me that the lead levels in Bay City, where Mike is at, is at the highest it's ever been, and it's higher than Flint. So I know I'm waiting, or he was waiting on a report to come back, and he's gonna he said he's going to be the biggest mouth Bay City's ever heard, or his mouth is going to get louder because of the water issue. And I hope he does. I really do, because that's scary. Alabama has that water issue that it's being swept under the rug. You had the incident in Colorado. What happened? There's no way that's cleaned up already, So got to pay attention to this stuff. It's not a joke anymore.
You also have to pay attention to what they're putting in your bottled water too, because most of your bottled water is fluoridated now. There's articles online where you can look up lists of what is in your bottled water and see. They'll have lists of which ones are fluoridated and which ones are partially fluoridated, and which right. ones are acid. Have the acid base to them, and which ones are alkaline, because they said that the acid-based bottled water will cause cancer.
Right.
So you don't want to stay away from the brands that are that way. But yeah, you have to watch everything anymore, because if it is processed in any way whatsoever, if it's not natural coming up out of your garden where you have control over it, you don't know what they're giving you.
BB, I did mention Alabama on the 3M dumping stuff in the lake there. I'm going to try to see later today if I can find anything more on the water issues that are going on. 'Cause I think we really have to start focusing on that. I really do. Wasn't there a few years ago where, was it Poland Springs or one of them bottled water companies got in trouble for using tap water? You remember it?
I don't remember that, but it's very well possible. I know that up in Michigan, Nestle is getting free water up there out of the lakes, or out of the, I guess it's up there at the lake, and they're bottling that up and then selling it back to the residents.
Yeah. I can believe that. I can believe it. So
they're not being charged anything for taking it out of the lake, getting it for free and selling it back to the citizens who have been poisoned.
Yep, selling lead water back to the citizens of the town. Gotta love it. That's why I said, you know, makes you so damn mad that people are that dumb, you know. There's just so, now I seen Combos is having a, you know, those little pretzel treats. They're doing a recall on those today. I seen that this morning, on them using some type of peanut oil or peanut resin or whatever it was that they're using.
Yeah.
And what was it the other day? I forgot that I shared with you that they were recalling some type of cookie or cracker.
Yeah, I forget what it was now, but that goes back to what I said originally. You know, you stay away from processed foods. If you stay away from them as much as you possibly can, stay as natural as you possibly can. Go with your fresh fruits and vegetables and wash them before you eat them, because you don't know what they got on them. You don't know what they've been sprayed with or processed through with. You know, even potatoes, they'll spray potatoes down to keep them from sprouting. You know, so your potatoes need to get scrubbed before you cook them if you're not peeling them.
Right.
And
let me ask you a question, and I'm going to ask everybody out there. All this stuff you see in these grocery stores advertising organic, how many of you believe that? To me, I believe it's just a bunch of BS to sell you something. How many of you believe that stuff? That it's organic?
Okay. Now you're getting into one of my wheelhouses. I'll tell you a little bit about what I know on organic, since I come from farm community. If you are going to be an organic farmer, you have to jump through all kinds of government hoops and fill out all kinds of paperwork and prove to the government that you're not using any herbicides, pesticides, any of that stuff on whatever it is you're planting. And in a lot of cases, they have to pay big money in order to get that organic certification. And people that are not organically certified and haven't paid the government big money, if they are caught using that organic label on their foods, I mean, they'll put you under the jail. They will treat you worse than as if you were a terrorist if you try to do something like that, because they're going to get their money or they're going to beat you senseless. All right? So then the food from the people that do pay all this money to the government, and it goes in, there's nothing really saying, you know, there's no real government overseer that's out there every minute of every day watching everything that goes on to see that those people aren't actually using any pesticides or herbicides or anything on their crops. So it may be true that it's organic, and then again, it might not. Okay? If it gets sneaked in when people ain't watching, well, you know, you don't, what was that old thing? Don't ask, don't tell. All right? So the stuff gets to the market and it's got an organic label on it, and it might be totally organic, and then again, it might not be. But even if it is totally organic, whatever is in the air that gets washed down in the water with all these chemtrails and all this garbage that they're spraying from the airplanes still lands in your food. Barium, aluminum, all that stuff that they're spraying. So even if an organic farmer is honest and hasn't used any pesticides or herbicides or anything on their crop, whatever the government's spraying all over the place is landed in the crop. So you are never getting anything that is 100% organic, no matter what you do.
I I thought it was just another hoax, you know, to trick people into buying, you know, buying something that's not, you know.
Organic food is going to cost you a little more in the store when it has the organic label on it, because they've had to pay the government big money in order to get that organic certification.
Right.
So that, you know, they're going to have to recoup their money somewhere along the line, and it has to go to the consumer. So that's why you see bigger prices on the organic foods.
Right.
It's not that it necessarily costs more to produce it. I mean, you're probably going to have a little more waste if you're not using herbicides, pesticides, and stuff on it, because, you know, it's not going to be as pretty. Bugs are going to get to it more, and, you know, you're not using stuff to keep the weeds and stuff out of it. It's going to take a little bit more manpower to weed it and take care of it. And whatever it costs the farmer to produce it, they have to pass that on to the consumer to make it financially worthwhile to produce the product.
Okay. It's just, wow. You know, all this stuff. Just overwhelming right now with all this crap that's coming out. You know, Russia, you know, is now threatening NATO if they keep up with this buildup in the Baltics. China's getting pissed off because we're running drills with Japan and India. We have the mass shootings. We have I don't know, Brenda. This is, I don't know how some of these guys do it. I really don't. I don't know how Mike, Lori, and all them do this, because I read this stuff and I got to walk away at times because it pisses me off so much to know that we are being screwed over again and again and again and again, and everybody wants to sit back and worry about the little tiniest bullshit. You know, just read some of these articles that they focus on. Are you kidding me? You know, Kenya court upholds anal exams for homosexuality. Really? Tell me why that's important. Please tell me.
You got to look at it, you know, in the grand scheme of things, is this an issue that we really need to be concerned with?
You know, and then yesterday,
when it comes down to human survival, I don't know that that's in the top 10 list, but, you know.
Right. Then yesterday, Prince William becomes the first royal to pose for LGBT magazine. Well, the way that sounds, you're making it sound like this guy's going naked on a magazine.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think all he did was speak out for gay rights.
I mean, you're making people look like morons. You know? Voice recorder recovered from the Egyptian Air. Great. You know it's going to take them at least, what, 2 to 3 to 5 years maybe before we get to see the report on any of that stuff? you know?
Well, they did say on that one, I believe, that it was the damaged voice recorder. So yeah, it'll take them a while to undamage it enough to figure out what it said on it.
You know, it's just unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. So we just got so much stuff we got to deal with. We got to stand together. We got to stand united together. We have to fight this crap. I really don't believe we've lost our country yet. I believe it's worth saving. It's worth saving it for our grandkids and our kids. We just need to come together. And yes, Nighthawk, I miss listening to him on his station. I would hope he would come back on live. He's a big part too, along with Pete Santilli, because I found Pete and then I found Nighthawk, and the rest is history. But yeah, I loved listening to Nighthawk, and I wish he would come back on. So I haven't really had the opportunity to talk with him, but
well, it's farming season, Pat. You know, when you're a farmer, you got to do what has to be done. They call it making hay while the sun shines.
Yep, but I respect the man. I respect what he done. The other thing, this Cliff Richards from Rolling Stone, his sexual abuse inquiry, no charges will be pursued against the singer. So I don't know what that was about. That's coming across. The machete attack in Belgium or Bangladesh. When are we going to wake up as a country? That's what I want to know. When the hell are we going to wake up and quit being fed all this bullshit?
I think they'll wake up when it hits home. You know, a lot of them, it ain't hit home for them yet. If they still getting their groceries, they still got electricity. They still got water coming out of the tap. You know, it hasn't affected them. Once it affects them, that's what it's going to take. I mean, it's easy to sit back and talk a good game here. You know, any of them can eventually figure out how to work YouTube. If I can do it, they can do it. Right. And, you know, you get online and anybody can talk a good game. It's the execution that's lacking in all this.
Right.
You know, I've repeatedly said over and over again, look, if you want to start taking control, if you want to start the execution on the plan, what you have to do is you have to start getting the attention of the people that's elected in your vicinity, in your community, in your state that represent you, and finding out where they stand. Are they for constitutional rights? Are they for the Constitution? Do they back the Constitution? And I'd have to say, after what I saw with this filibuster, where the Republicans jumped on the bandwagon right along with the Democrats to push this gun control thing through, no, none of them are for the Constitution. But I'd like to hear what the ones in the state have to say on why in the hell they're backing that and destroying the Second Amendment. And I think everybody needs to be finding out from their congressmen and their senators what in the world is going on that they're not backing the Second Amendment. Shall not be infringed.
I agree.
What in the hell gives them the right to jump in there and say that we don't have Second Amendment rights? What gives them the right to go in there and destroy and shred the Constitution? And we need to be asking point blank for them to explain themselves on what in the hell they think they're doing. Drawing big salaries on our tax dollars and destroying our rights. It's not acceptable. But we have to get the execution of the plan going, or otherwise we're just sitting here allowing it to go on, and we are the problem.
We are the problem. We've been the problem because we're sitting back and sitting on our hands and just looking into the sky. Oh, it can't happen. It won't happen. You know, a lot of the stuff I'm just as at fault as anybody else. I have sat back and said, no, I don't think a lot of this can happen. I don't think our government's that stupid. to do anything to the, to the American people. But now, after seeing what I've been seeing, yeah, it's got my attention. It's got me really concerned on what's going on. Like I said, I wish somebody can tell me, because I just have this bad feeling. I really do. I got a gut feeling that something's coming. And I don't know what it is.
Look at it this way, Pat. What did it take for the Bundys to make a stand? What did it take for Lavoie to make a stand? It took the government bullying them, threatening them, tasing them, abusing them, stealing their livestock, stealing their water, destroying their property. They'd had enough. It has taken all of our patriots that were involved out there in Oregon going to jail to wake the rest of us up enough to say, wait a minute. But it hasn't really hit home for us yet. We can still get out and go over to the grocery store and get our food. They haven't taken our food away. They haven't, in a lot of cases, they haven't done anything to our jobs just yet, except some people are beginning to feel a little bit of pinch on that because of the economy going to hell, and as a result, our jobs are disappearing, but not all of us. Now some of them are beginning to feel the pinch because the EBT cards are going away, and they can't afford to buy groceries, but they can still probably scrape up a little money, but get them a little bit of food here and there because the stores still have food. They can still go to the tap and get water. They still have lights. So it hasn't hit just hard enough yet for them to execute anything. They're not really seeing how bad it is. If they have any money in the bank, it hasn't disappeared yet. They can still go to the bank and make their withdrawals and do their regular banking. They're not being inhibited on how much money they can put in or take out or anything yet.
Right.
But just watch this unfold. Watch it unfold. Watch the rights start disappearing. Watch all the luxuries and things that they're used to start going away.
Real quick, this fire that's burning in Santa Barbara out of control is nearing an oil refinery.
Oh boy.
It's in Google News. I just posted the link in the chat room if you want to click on that. That's people in that area, be concerned. Be concerned. If they're telling you to evacuate. Don't stick around. But yeah, Santa Barbara fire burning out of control near California oil refinery. I'm just telling you, it's crazy out there. It's crazy. But yeah, like I said, we all need to start standing together and fighting back on this crap because, just 2 hours ago, former Miss USA contestant Samantha Edwards found dead at the age of 37. If anybody's interested on that, I'll post that too. You still there, Brenda?
Yeah. Yeah, I was pulling up some of these articles that you put up.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious as to how this fire in Arizona got started. Was this a lightning strike that got this started, or a camper, or was this a BLM screw up, or it doesn't really say here. That's what I was looking for in this.
Right. I don't know. Majority of them do start by humans, and then there's a few that are started by lightning strikes that can cause them. I know several of them that have happened out in California. Jeremy's in the chat room. He can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they were intentionally set.
They're calling this a Sharupa fire because it erupted near Sharupa Ranch, but it doesn't say how it erupted.
Right.
That's what I was wondering on, what exactly got that thing started. I really get sick on these BLM fires, you know, where they're burning off area and then they let it get out of control and burn people's houses down and all that. And I was angry about that 20 years ago when they were allowing such stuff as that to go on. I said back then that the BLM needed to be disbanded if they couldn't do any better than that. The government didn't have any business owning any land that they couldn't be good caretakers of.
Right.
If they didn't know how to take care of it properly, leave it alone and let the ranchers and the farmers take care of it, because the ranchers and the farmers have been doing this for generations. They know how to properly take care of the land. We don't need the government coming in and screwing stuff up because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm looking for it now. It's near the 101. Yeah, they're just doing an article on it right now. Nearing oil refinery. Well, it's that time of year for all this, the wildfires too. So,
Yep.
I mean, California is prone to this. I think California, Arizona, New Mexico are prone more than any other state right now. So, I mean, it's nothing new. Every year, the California burns half their mountainside anyway. But when it starts getting real close to refineries and that, like what is happening, you got to be really concerned, because it could cause a big mess.
Yep.
You know. I'll be right back. You go ahead and run with this for a minute, Brenda.
Okay. Well, I think I'll go over here. This one, the FBI renews a 40-year-old manhunt for California's most prolific serial killer. I found that kind of interesting. It says the FBI on Wednesday called for the public's help in nabbing the state's most prolific serial killer, who committed at least 12 homicides, 45 rapes, and dozens of burglaries across the state in the 70s and the 80s. The FBI and Sacramento County officials announced a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the man known as the East Area Rapist and Golden State Killer, who has eluded authorities for 40 years. At a press conference Wednesday in Sacramento, authorities called him the most prolific serial killer in the state's history. The victims and their families deserve justice, FBI Special Agent in Charge Monica Miller told reporters. The unknown man, who authorities say is between 60 and 75 years old today, began his brutal crime spree in the summer of 1976 by breaking into homes in Rancho Cordova and Carmichael, California, both suburbs of Sacramento. The suspect, described as white male and approximately 5'10", with blonde hair, would enter the homes by prying open a window or door while his victims slept. Once inside, authorities said the man would tie up couples and rape his female victim before taking small items from the home, including coins, cash, identification, and jewelry. Some victims reported receiving telephone calls from the suspect after the crimes. Authorities said Monday the man mainly targeted single women, mainly with children, and young couples. His female victims ranged from 13 to 41, and he would often bring his own bindings with him, like shoelaces, officials said. In 1978, his crimes turned deadly. The man shot and killed a young Sacramento couple, Brian and Kate McGorry, while they were walking their dog in Rancho Cordova. Evidence left at the scene pointed to the East Area Rapist, officials said. After the murder, the suspect committed rapes in Stockton, Modesto, Davis, and East Bay area of California. Between 1979 and 1981, he raped and murdered several people, including couples in Southern California. according to the FBI. These victims were tied up in the same manner as the Sacramento area rapes, and their homes were also ransacked. After July of 1981, no additional incidents related to the East Coast rapist and Golden State Killer were reported until the rape and murder of 18-year-old Janelle Lisa Cruz in Irvine, California in May of 1986. Cruz's murder was the last known crime related to the Golden State Killer. Authorities also said Monday that the unknown man may have had an interest or training in military law enforcement techniques, as he was familiar and proficient with firearms. The digital media campaign launched Wednesday includes a web page as well as digital billboards throughout the country. Anyone with information on Golden State Killer is urged to call 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit information to the FBI's online tip line. I find it interesting that this was the last murder he pulled was in the mid-'80s, and they have not found him, and they don't have anything to credit him with since then. I mean, it would point to me that something must have happened to him, because he'd been pretty proficient in getting the job done up until that point. Did he die? Was he killed? Did he leave the country? Wondering what happened to him that would make him stop, because it looks like he was pretty busy there for a while. It was an interesting little article. So that came off of let's see, Fox News is where that article came from. Pat put it up there in the chat room for y'all to take a look at. Some things that I found in the news that I found interesting. If I can get my computer to cooperate with me here. Let's see. Well, we'll talk about this one. I found this one fascinating. Obama taps Muslim who praised 9/11 attacks, puts her on the U.S. Homeland Security Committee. It says, as the country still reels from the terror attack on Florida nightclub perpetuated by radical Muslim, news of another radical Muslim has emerged. Only this one was hired by Barack Obama and placed on a U.S. Homeland Security subcommittee. One of the new members of Obama's Homeland Security Advisory Council, the HSAC, subcommittee on countering violent extremism, is a 25-year-old Syrian immigrant who has not only outright rejected ever accepting the idea of truly being an American, but has praised the 9/11 attacks as a positive good and indulged constant racist attacks on white people on Twitter. As Daily Caller documents, Layla Alwa was hired by Barack Obama to join the Department of Homeland Security, an agency set up to stop another 9/11 attack, even though she has praised 9/11 as a good thing. Are you kidding me? I mean, where's the outrage? Why are people not flooding the phone lines of the White House, flooding the phone lines of their congressmen and senators, got their pens out on paper, sending letters to the congressmen, the senators, the representatives, the White House, and saying, no, we will not accept this. What are you doing to our country? What makes you think that this is all right? You are an elected official, and we will not put up with this in our country. Where's the execution? And I'm talking execution of a plan to disable the tyranny that is going on from our capital. Holy smoke. So that's a little article that I found very amusing. I'll be putting the link to that in the comment or in the section under the video when we get off the air. Let's see. Here's another one that I thought was interesting. DHS ordered me to scrub records of Muslims with terror ties, it says. This came off of The Hill. And says, amid the chaos of 2009 holiday travel season, jihadists plan to slaughter 290 innocent travelers on Christmas Day flight from the Netherlands to Detroit, Michigan. 23-year-old Nigerian Muslim Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib, something of that nature, intended to detonate Northwest Airlines Flight 253, but explosives in his underwear malfunctioned, and brave passengers subdued him until he could be arrested. The graphic and traumatized defeat, the plan for the United States failed at that time. Following the attempted attack, President Barack Obama threw the intelligence community under the bus for its failure to connect the dots, he said. This was not a failure to collect intelligence, it was failure to integrate and understand the intelligence that we already had. Most Americans were unaware of the enormous damage to morale at the Department of Homeland Security, where I worked, his condemnation caused. His words infuriated many of us because we knew his administration had been engaged in a bureaucratic effort to destroy the raw material, the actual intelligence we had collected for years, and erase those dots. The dots constitute intelligence needed to keep Americans safe, and the Obama administration was ordering they be wiped away. And it goes on. Yeah, let's not put the finger where the finger belongs. You know, let's make sure we cover up anything that could be damaging to the continuation of tyranny. I don't know. I mean, I've lived through the Nixon era and over the impeachment of some missing audio tape from a break-in. And I see that went on, but yet we don't have an impeachment over the tyranny that's going on in our nation's capital right now. And I have to wonder, what is the difference between now and then in the mentality of the American citizens? And I see several things. One of them is the grossly exaggerated amount of welfare in the country, the amount of people who are dependent on the government, so they don't speak out, they don't stand up, they don't worry about what's going on in Washington because they're getting the handouts from them. And I also see a dumbing down of America through our school system, where they're pushing this Common Core garbage to see how stupid they can make our kids. I mean, it's to the point now where they're even talking about getting rid of cursive handwriting in schools. I can't even imagine. Is there going to come a day when we all sit around at the nursing home writing things in cursive because the the staff at the nursing home won't be able to decipher it because they were never taught cursive writing? It's going to be our secret code. Holy smoke. Just blows me away. But those are the things that I'm looking at, is dumbed everybody down to the point where, you know, Nixon was impeached over the break-in to the Democratic headquarters and having some, you know, he was trying to find out what they were doing behind the scenes so that he could try to counteract it in his campaign. And when they found out about it, it was the awfulest outrage ever was, and a bunch of tapes was erased and stuff. And I mean, he was pitched out of office over it. That is a minor detail compared to what we're facing. We're facing total collapse of the nation, total collapse. I mean, it's so big that it's difficult to wrap your brain cells around it. We're talking about the economy collapsing, the infrastructure collapsing. There's coming a day when you're not going to be able to buy groceries. You're not going to be able to buy gasoline. You're not going to be able to function. Your water's going to be cut off. Your feet are going to hit the floor every morning wondering where you're going to get water. It's not going to be, well, I wonder who's going to call me on the cell phone today, or I wonder, what I'm going to watch on YouTube, or gosh, I'm hungry to go out to the refrigerator and raid it and get me some vittles for breakfast. Oh no, you're going to be worried about getting a drink. I don't know, if people can really comprehend how amazing the times we are in are, let alone what has been going on in Washington and what has led us to this point. Pat, are you back yet? Uh-oh. Pat's done fell by the wayside.
No, I'm not. I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
I was listening.
Oh, yeah. I was schooling everybody.
Uh-huh. So I was listening. I was being.
Did you learn anything?
Hell no. You'll probably give me an F failure. I can't even get a D out of you for no, I should say an E for effort.
You lived through the Nixon era, Pat. You lived through the Nixon era. You remember what happened when they impeached Nixon and, the break into the Democratic headquarters, and they had those tapes, trying to figure out what the Democrats was doing, and everybody got in an uproar and had an impeachment and put him out of office over that. Is it just me, or do I find that a minor detail compared to what's going on in Washington right now?
First of all, what Nixon did is nowhere near what Hillary has done. Or the Clintons, not to that, to that point. And how people can vote for them is totally amazing.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, Pat. I'm not saying that Nixon shouldn't have been impeached. I believe, yes, he should have been impeached. I think that they need to set the precedent that we're not going to put up with a bunch of foolishness. Now, if you want to run, you run on your own platform. Don't worry about what the other guy's doing. You do your own thing. You don't go in there running tapes and doing break-ins and covert activities to try to win the office. You go in there and run a clean campaign. Enough foolishness is enough. But by the same token, what he did back then, breaking into the Democratic headquarters, is a minor detail compared to this idiot we have in there now. That he's hiring people into the Homeland Security that are basically terrorists. They're speaking out saying, "Oh, I think 9/11 was a good thing. Shame more people didn't die." What the hell is that all about? And he ordered the record scrub from the Muslims with terrorist ties.
Right.
What the hell? He's trying to take our gun rights away from us. I mean, it just mounts up. It mounts up. It mounts up. It's not just one thing. It's millions of things this idiot has done. He's got an executive order pen, I guess, that, is just exclusively for trying to take the rights away from Americans, and we've allowed that to go on.
Yep.
When do we stand up and say, no, we're not putting up with it anymore? Instead of saying, well, it's just a few more months till the election. A few more months till the election, my foot.
I've been trying to say that. I've been saying it and saying it and saying it. Everybody needs to remember something. And they need, I really don't want to get too far into this political crap, all right? But this political correctness BS needs to stop. First of all, Hillary Clinton got 4 Americans killed. Hillary Clinton forced Obama's hand into going into Libya. A lot of innocent people were killed. The Clinton Foundation has got their hands so far up the keisters of the Saudis, the Russians. They sold our land off. Look at what's happening. I want everybody, just take a minute, go research it. Look what is happening up in Oregon today. Okay? There's a gentleman up there named Fisher that's been camping out, watching over Lavoie Memorial. That's fine. They are threatening, and I think he's off. He went away for a couple take some time away, but he's going to go back up there. They were going to go on that the campsite and get him by using force, SWAT, just to protect the minerals, the uranium. This has not, believe me, I don't believe in this has anything to do with the Lavoie Memorial. Yes, they don't want to see it. They don't want it up there. But it's bigger than that.
And you know what's really crazy about this, Pat? If they had just left that man alone and let him camp up there for a little while, he'd have got tired of it and gone home.
But people are instigating crap, you know. Now, Lavoie's wife are going up there this weekend for Father's Day to pay tribute to where he was murdered. And I pray to God nothing happens. I pray none of them dumb SOBs are gonna do anything to that woman or her family. I really hope they don't. I hope they leave him alone. Let him go up there, see the site where he was gunned down, and let them mourn and just leave them alone. And I say this to everybody too that's over there. Back away from this family. Let them go to the site. Let them mourn and let them have some type of closure. That's all I'm asking. You know, that goes for the law enforcement morons that are up there. Don't go in there trying to intimidate these people, because if you do, oh hell, I can see a firestorm brewing if you go in there and try to stop this family from visiting that site.
Yeah.
You know, and you know it as well as I do, Brenda, the firestorm that will come from that. Oh my Lord.
Yep.
You know, so everybody just needs to let them go up there. If it's closure for them that they need, let them go. Just leave them alone. You know, just let them be by themselves doing that, you know. And like I said, I hope to God people leave them alone. Law enforcement don't try to intimidate them. I really do. I honest to God, hope they leave them alone.
I don't think that they have that much mental capacity, Pat. I think that they'll have to stir something up, because that's just the way they are. You know, they've still got the FBI up there in Burns, and you know, Graspy's begging everybody not to impeach him, and shit, you know, they're not. They don't have enough brain cells in that whole bunch up there that's running things to rub together to make a spark to put a fire to going. If you're an elected official in a town like that, after all this stuff's gone on, and there's people enough to get a petition up to hold an election to get you impeached out of there and to put you to the street, why don't you just go? I mean, it's obvious that you're not wanted. The majority of people are not wanting you in there if they're getting a petition up. Why would you want to stay in a town, trying to run a town, where there's that many people that hate you enough to bring up an impeachment.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm going to have to get with Link and ask Link about this one. I'm just curious on how much money that this Grassley, nasty, whatever you want to call him, how much money he made off this land deal. I know, I believe in my heart his hands are all over this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and if there is ties with him and with the Clintons.
Well, somewhere along the line there is. I mean, it might be, you know, once removed or something. I don't know that he's necessarily, you know, a dinner companion, but he's involved with that Uranium One, and the Clintons are in that, you know, hip deep. So he's involved with the whole thing just as much as they are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you follow the money. You know, wherever the money's going, and the money's going on the minerals.
Yep. Just follow the paper trail, as the old sayings goes. Follow the paper trails. I don't know, but I just pray
Wherever
that
there's somebody wanting to cause trouble, and I don't care what kind of trouble it is, if there's somebody that's trying to cause trouble, you always look, what do they stand to gain?
mm-hmm.
What do they stand to gain? And generally, it's one of two things. It's either money or fame.
Exactly. Yeah, we've been sold down the river, so far down the river. Just got to follow the paper trail, you know. I don't know. I think we're going to call the show a little bit early today, Brenda.
Okay.
Because I have some stuff I have to do some running around. Once again, I want to thank all of you for participating in the chat room. I want to thank Chris, Jeremy, Johnny Cox, Girl Friday, BB, Black Wolf. I want to thank all you guys for your support and coming over here into the chat room. I do appreciate it. I will say this every time we end our show. I will give shout outs to every one of you in the chat room. You mean a lot to me for supporting me and Brenda on this journey. And I hope we get better and you enjoy it. So with that, have yourselves a wonderful Thursday afternoon, and I will see you again tomorrow, and I'm sure Brenda will. So with that, Brenda, it's you. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us too. And all the people that watch this even after, you know, it goes off on YouTube and we're not live anymore. A big shout out to them. Without our viewers, we wouldn't amount to a whole lot. It'd just be me and Pat rag chewing, and we can't do anything alone. We need everybody for the execution to get this thing rolling and start trying to change things. But Pat, tomorrow is Friday, and you and I have discussed doing something, but we haven't decided what yet. So we're going to have to put our heads together to figure out what we're going to do for Friday. We want to try to get our viewers involved with the show a little bit more, and we figured Friday would just be a good day to do that, wind down, talk about what all's transpired during the week, and you know, see what everybody else has to say. So with that, just tune in tomorrow to see what Pat and I put our heads together with, because we'll surprise you with something. And we'll say, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you tomorrow at noon.
Bye.